Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for rights.
Together, wow. It is always inspiring to see young, up-and-coming talent being involved in our city of Ottawa, which leads us to our Youth in Service Award. Please welcome Steve of Kiwanis International, where kids are job one. Actually, this award was added to the DreamKEEPERS program when the Kiwanis Club of Sage was the principal sponsor of DreamKEEPERS. Steve, as a club devoted to service in the city, is Kiwanis open to new members?
Thank you.
Come on, welcome him, come on.
Thank you. Thank you. Shakira Prince has demonstrated a heart of service towards her community, guided by the ideals of Martin Luther King Jr., including social justice, minority rights, racial harmony, spiritual values, and the advancement of the dream within the National Capital Region. Done all that and well. I'm not making you nervous, eh? Shakira has a heart for people and social justice and is not only always willing to do that work, but she does it with excellence. Shakira has been an active member of the wider Ottawa community since she moved to Canada from Jamaica 11 years ago, which came with its own set of challenges. She has demonstrated tenacity over the past 2 years after her diagnosis with a serious health concern. Nevertheless, Shakira is currently involved in the second year of a bachelor's degree in political science at the University of Ottawa, and she has aspirations to attend law school and become a human rights lawyer. And you're going to make one heck of a lawyer. In 2023, as I mentioned, she was awarded the RBC Spirit of the Capital Youth Award for her demonstration of the community activism and involvement. I've been involved with Youth Ottawa, and you've got to be pretty good to be a winner and a finalist, as you are. Shakira has consistently demonstrated academic excellence and has been heavily involved in school government and social clubs. When Shakira immigrated to Canada, she had to adjust to a totally different school system in a new country. And she had to adjust to becoming a visible minority, meaning she did not always feel welcome or seen. Instead of giving up, making herself a victim, Shakira decided to be proactive and develop creative solutions to overcoming adversity. Through her actions, it is clear that Shakira embodies and consistently demonstrates her commitment to social justice, minority rights, racial harmony, and spiritual values. She is passionate about bringing people together, no matter the obstacles and no matter how large the gap to be bridged. She has the spirit of reconciliation and service. It's my pleasure to provide you with the award. Congratulations. So here's where
Thank you so much. I am truly honored to accept this incredible recognition for the DreamKEEPERS June Gervin Youth and Service Award. I want to thank you for the recognition and for the nomination for this award. It is truly an honor to be given the opportunity to serve and give back within the community, within this church, and also the greater community. As we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Martin Luther King Day in Ottawa, I'm so thankful to be among you, as well as the amazing recipients for today. Thank you.
Congratulations, Shakira. We are very proud of you. Desiree Kaloa was supposed to be here to introduce our next speaker. However, he is at the hospital with his son at this time, who developed, I think it was food poisoning, so we want to keep him in our thoughts and our prayers. But at this time, I would like to welcome Raymond Kashiba, the president of the Ottawa Congolese community, to come and welcome you.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the DreamKEEPERS, it is an honor to join you today for the 20th anniversary of the Martin Luther King Day Award ceremony. This occasion reminds us of Dr. King's dream, a dream of justice, equality, and human dignity for all. Dr. King once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." These words resonate deeply as I stand here to speak about an injustice that cannot be ignored: the use of female genital mutilation, FGM, as a weapon of war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. FGM is an heinous violation of human rights. In the DRC, armed groups have weaponized this practice to instill fear, control communities, and perpetuate cycles of trauma. It is a crime that robs women and girls of their bodily autonomy, health, and futures. The use of FGM as a war tactic exacerbates the suffering of communities already torn apart by decades of conflict. This violation reflects a broader crisis in the DRC, where instability, resource exploitation, and impunity fuel a humanitarian disaster. We must act together to address these atrocities. The DRC cannot confront these challenges alone. Here's what we can do. Raise awareness by breaking the silence surrounding FGM and its devastating impact. Demand accountability to support efforts to bring perpetrators to justice through national and international mechanisms. Invest in survivors by providing physical, psychological, and economic support to women and girls who have endured these atrocities. And also to build partnership, to collaborate with grassroots organizations and global institutions to tackle the root causes of gender-based violence and conflict. Dr. King's dream teaches us that injustice anywhere concerns us all. It calls on us to stand in solidarity with women and girls of the DRC and to amplify their voices. Let us commit ourselves to a future where no girl will suffer the horror of FGM, no woman will be silenced by fear, and no community will be destroyed by violence. As we honor Dr. King's legacy, let us remember his words. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward injustice. May we together bend that arc more swiftly toward a world where dignity, justice, and equality prevail for all. Thank you very much.
Wow, those are beautiful words to remember. The DreamKEEPERS, Chris Harris Citation for Outstanding Leadership is the oldest of the 4 awards given today, now 20 years in the giving.
Yet today, for the very first time, it bears the name of Chris Harris, an outstanding champion for equality and against anti-Black racism. Deacon Elizabeth December will now come forward to introduce our 2025 awardee.
Where employee volunteers with local charities ranging from the Gloucester Emergency Food Cupboard Farm to Ottawa Food Banks to the Shepherds of Good Hope. In her early career, Yolanda worked for the Canadian International Development Agency and also for what is now Global Affairs Canada. And during that time, she enjoyed foreign postings to the United Kingdom, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia. Yolanda's faith and God's protection have been the reason behind her accomplishments and dedication. She believes that we all have an obligation to contribute towards making the world a better place. Rather than complaining, she encourages everyone to be part of a solution. And so it is with great pleasure that today we present the award to Yolanda.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. I have to first of all thank my dear friend Carol Campbell and Sister Bruno, who I think nominated me for this award. So thank you so much. And I'd also like to say with great admiration, what great admiration I have for Daniel Stringer. He isn't here today, I understand he isn't feeling well. But, and the board of DreamKEEPERS. They've kept this going for 20 years. And I used to come to the ceremonies, make sandwiches in the early years, and it's really hard to sustain an initiative like this. It's important to remember the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., or as we sometimes like to say, MLK. Martin Luther King Jr. was a champion of social injustice, to fight against social injustice and inequality. And certainly, yes, indeed, we've come a long way since the 1960s when his fight was most prominent, but anti-Black racism is still an issue for us. And I would give you some examples. You know, people think, oh, someone has to run after you and call you the N-word for this to be an issue. That's not the case. You can, as a young man, get stopped by the police and be treated differently. As a youth in a classroom at school or at university, the professor thinks a little differently of your intellectual abilities. Or you're applying for a job and your name is a little different and difficult to pronounce and you get screened out and don't even have an opportunity for an interview. These are the injustices that we continue to have to fight. And Martin Luther King Jr., one thing that he did acknowledge is his fight was not just for Black people. He was fighting for injustices against people of all colors, all religions, all backgrounds. And so this is a very inclusive struggle that we have. I think very much you, as Martin Luther King said, you don't fight hate with hate, but with love. And you show love through service, and through service, kindness to each other. And if you can do something for someone else in the community, all the better. We're at our best when we serve others. Thank you very much.
And now let's call upon Carol Daly Campbell to introduce the 2025 recipient of DreamKEEPERS prestigious Honorable Jean-Augustine Lifetime Achievement Award. Put your hands together, come on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's such an honor for me to stand here to be reading a small snip of the bio of our Dr. Senator here. And so it's just, what I will read, it's just because of the time factor. If you want to know more about her, you could check out her website. So here we go. Dr. Wanda Thomas Bernard is a highly regarded social worker, educator, researcher, community activist, and advocate of social change. She has worked in mental health at the provincial level, in rural community, practice at the municipal level, and since 1990 as a professor at the Dalhousie School of Social Work, where she served as the director for decades. In 2016, she was appointed Special Advisory on the Diversity and Inclusiveness at Dalhousie University, and she is the first African Nova Scotian to hold a tenure track position at Dalhousie University and to be promoted to full professor. You need to applaud her. Dr. Thomas Bernard has worked with provincial organizations to bring diversity to the public process in Nova Scotia and tech community members about Canada's legislative process and citizenship engagement. She is a founder member of the Association of Black Social Workers, by short ABSW, which helps address the needs of marginalized citizens, especially those of African descent. As a former member of Nova Scotia Advisory Council on the Status of Women, and as in the past chair, she was instrumental in the development to advise the minister regarding framework of gender violence, prevention, and health equality. At the national level, she has served as a member of the National Coalition of Advisory Council on the Status of Women. She has served as an expert witness in human rights cases and has presented at many local, national, international forums. Dr. Thomas Bernard has received many honors for her work and community leadership, notably the Order of Nova Scotia and the Order of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this afternoon Dr. Wanda Thomas Bernard.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the organizers of this important event for inviting me to this 20th annual Martin Luther King Day celebration. Although, as was mentioned in my bio, I have received many awards and recognition for my work over the years, this one is extra special. Let me tell you why. How many people here can remember where you were or what you were doing on the day that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated? Show of hands. A few. Some of you weren't born, I know that. I've been reflecting on that very question since I received your very kind invitation to be here today and to receive this award. I know exactly what I was doing. I was a high school student in the integrated high school in my community in Nova Scotia. And that school had only been open for a few years. I believe that one of the greatest gifts that I've inherited is the fact that I was a child of the civil rights movement. While we had our own version of civil rights in Nova Scotia, and our folks had been there since the 1600s, but we were very heavily influenced by the civil rights movement in the United States, especially the work of Dr. King. I remember that day, the news of his assassination was devastating. We were all hurting, we were mourning, we were grieving, we were devastated. How did this happen? And the school administrators and teachers, they didn't quite know how to help us. They didn't do anything that was helpful. I remember the conversations in the washroom, in the hallway. Later that evening, on the bus home, we talked about what had happened. Black students in that school were having a hard time. Many were not doing so well. But people weren't listening to us. The very next day, a group of us organized a protest against the school's administration to try to get some attention about the anti-Black racism that we were experiencing in the school. Now let me tell you, I had no idea that that would lead me to decades of anti-Black racism, seeking justice, seeking social justice, seeking social change. I had no idea. That was my first act of activism. And I've been engaged in activism ever since. And so I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful to the memory of Dr. King. I'm grateful to the DreamKEEPERS who keep his memory alive. I'm grateful to all of the ancestors on whose shoulders I stand, who fought to make a way out of no way, who fought for us to have opportunities. When I think about the fact that my ancestors have been in Nova Scotia since the 1700s, and I'm the first in anything, it reminds me of the lack of opportunities that they had, opportunities that were stolen from them, taken from them, opportunities they were not allowed to have. But people like Dr. King fought so that we'd have a better future for our children and our children's children. And it's been my great honor to carry that torch. And it's a wonderful honor to see young people continuing the work. So I congratulate my fellow awardees today. And I thank you for the honor to be here. And I accept this award on behalf of everyone that I've worked with over these past 50 years. Because social justice work is not a solo sport. It's work you do with others. So I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to all that I've worked with over these 5 decades. And I just simply say thank you. Thank you.
New last year, the DreamKEEPERS Michelle Obama Beloved Community Builder Award, and this is only the second time it's being given, recognizes an individual or a group that is an international influencer. Please welcome Denise Seal to tell us about the 2025 recipient.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to introduce the 2025 recipient of the DreamKEEPERS Michelle Obama Beloved Community Builder Awards. For over 25 years, Suzette Weeks has served as a formidable community leader, social justice advocate, and youth mentor. Suzette is the president of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Association of Ottawa and the executive director of Branding by Weeks. Of course, she is a proud Vincentian Canadian, and she has dedicated countless volunteer hours to numerous organizations, including the Black Women's Civic Engagement Network, Jacques Combet, the Liberian Association of Ottawa, Black History Ottawa, and in fact, this very event, DreamKEEPERS annual Martin Luther King Day celebration, and as it were, she is volunteering, again, even as she is receiving an award. Suzette Weeks, this is our person, community and consistent in community. So, there are things that she is passionate about. Advocacy for young people, supporting young people. So whether it's with the SVG Association, partnering with the OECS High Commission on an exciting campaign, an important campaign called Hope Donation Bags campaign, which provided crucial support to children's hospitals in Grenada during the hurricane. And then her continued sustained mentorship of those same young people to raise funds for children's hospitals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Dominica during devastating hurricanes. And then, of course, her work with Jacques Combet Community Garden in support of the Green Star Youth Gardening Program. She is consistent. She's Vincentian and seeing firsthand the impact of the 2021 eruption of the volcano, she mobilized the community to support those affected by the disaster. And the funds were clear. They were to be directed to youth-led initiatives, supporting youth with special needs, mental health programs, agriculture, entrepreneurship, and other cultural projects. And we know that these efforts were so crucial in helping those communities rebuild and support youth in the aftermath of the disaster. Like, look, as well, she's a community connector and a bridge builder, and this was evident when she worked with the Liberian Association of Ottawa to lead a fundraising campaign to support children orphaned by the Ebola crisis in that country. She's beloved in the Vincentian community and beyond, I think we can say, and she leads the Kids Village and the annual Vinci Unity Picnic. Now, when it comes to fundraising for community initiatives, Branding by Weeks is a go-to. She uses her creativity for important events, leading to elevate their visibility and impact. And one of the things that we worked together closely in 2013 and 2014 was a fundraiser for CHIO called Vivance, where silent auctions raised funds to support pediatric health care. And I think there's many organizations represented here who know about the infamous Suzette Weeks silent auction baskets, right? So dear to her heart are mental health and arts initiatives, and she's funded several mental health and hygiene projects at Bethel High School in St. Vincent. But most importantly, whether she is managing registration tables, adapting fundraising strategies, mentoring youth, and building bridges, her legacy is one of leadership, resilience, compassion, and ensuring the next generation is ready to take on the challenges of the future and make a meaningful difference in our community. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a very, very warm congratulations to the 2025 recipient, DreamKEEPERS recipient of the Michelle Obama North Star Community Builder, Suzette Weeks.
I am deeply humbled and honored to receive the 2025 DreamKEEPERS, the Michelle Obama Beloved Community Builder Award. Thank you, my dear community sister Denise, for your warm and inspiring introduction. A heartfelt thanks also to the nominated committee, especially Daniel Stringer, for ensuring Dr. King's flame continues to burn brightly in our city. And to all the esteemed recipients, guests, family, and friends here today, I'm truly grateful to share this moment with you. First and foremost, I give all glory to God and offer my deepest gratitude to my parents, who instilled in me a strong sense of community and a lifelong commitment to serving others. They taught me that service is not just an act, but a way of life, and it's that foundation that has guided me every step of the way. My journey of giving back began at a very young age in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where I learned that serving others is not only a responsibility, but also a privilege. I started at the tender age of 3, and when I migrated to Canada, I carried the deep-rooted desire to serve. It has been my guiding force through over 25 years of community work, where I have given my time, resources, skills, and expertise, always striving to make a positive impact. As a community mom, my focus has always been on empowering young people. But my work has spanned many areas of community service, whether it's through mentoring, organizing, or sharing my expertise. My greatest reward has always been watching others grow, learn, and succeed. While empowering youth is at the heart of my work, it is the collective support from all of us that truly helps our young people and our communities realize their full potential. Receiving this prestigious award holds a special place in my heart. Dr. King's word, everyone can be great because everyone can serve, continue to guide me. I believe that the service is the highest calling, and it is through our collective efforts that we help our youth and our communities thrive. Michelle Obama's dedication to uplifting young people also inspires me. She teaches us that every act of encouragement, no matter how small, plays a vital role in shaping the leaders of tomorrow. So with deep humility, I dedicate this award to my 3 children and all the young people I've had the privilege of guiding and mentoring. This award is not just for me. It is for all those making a difference, quietly and boldly in their communities. Let us continue to invest in our future leaders and change makers, for they hold the power to shape the world. Thank you all for your love and support and for believing in the power of service. Thank you.
Congratulations to Suzette Weeks. Come on, put your hands together again. We are proud of our keynote speaker, and June Gervin is here to shine some light on his sunny origins. Welcome. Come on, put your hands together.
What is it that we need in our community as community builders? To talk to a community builder par excellence, talk to Ralston King. point I want to make is, don't ask what Ralston King is doing, ask what we can help Ralston King to do. Community building is Ralston King's nature. It is at the heart of his service. You want to know how to build a community? Ask Ralston King. Since 2004, he and his wife, Linda Grossani, have lived in Overbrook, the base of their community building. He has served as president of the Overbrook Community Association, as a board member of the Rideau Rockcliffe Community Resource Center, president of Gallery 101. He's the first co-chair of the Ottawa Police Services Community Equity Council. He's the founding member, board member of the Rideau Winter Trail of Ottawa, and endless others. United Way has recognized his community service with a Community Builder Award. And in 2001, I was very, very proud and very pleased to recognize Councillor King with a special Community Builder Award from Black History Ottawa. Councillor King is a gratitude practitioner and philanthropist. You want to know how to give back, pay forward? Ask Ralston King and his wife. One example, in gratitude to Carleton University, Councillor King and his wife has established the Scholarship for Indigenous, Black, and Racialized Students at Carleton University. He was grateful to Carleton. Thank you. He was grateful to Carleton for the chance that Carleton gave him, and he wants Carleton to be in a position to give other people a similar chance. Councillor King was born and raised in Toronto. His early schooling was at Bayview Glen School. He holds a Bachelor of Journalism and Law and an MA in Communication from Carleton University. He made his living as an entrepreneur and communications professional in high technology marketing research. His parents came to Canada from the Caribbean with an ancestry in the history of the islands that we all know. His mother from St. Vincent, his father from Aruba. I made up this story. The following story. My story is, I see his parents taking a Trans-Canada Airlines flight to Toronto, flying north to Canada, the land of the North Star. Some folks took the Underground Railroad. These folks are taking the plane. I picture them hoping for the North Star experience. From what I read, they didn't get it. Still, they didn't get the North Star experience, but they gave us Ralston. I hear Martin Luther's voice at the Massey Lecture in Toronto, 1967. And he is saying, Canada is not merely a neighbor to Negroes. Deep in our history of struggle for freedom, Canada was the North Star. The Negro slave, denied education, dehumanized, imprisoned on cruel plantations, knew that far to the north, a land existed where a fugitive slave, if he survived the horrors of the journey, could find freedom. When Ralston's parents came, slavery was long over. But the North Star experience that they hoped for did not materialize. And so they brought forth a son who is creating that North Star experience for us in Ottawa. That's not a small feat. So I ask you, please stand and give a rousing ovation to this man of St. Vincent.
Good afternoon, everybody. I was going to say that I might have lost my voice there, but I regained it. And I have to apologize. I'm still recuperating from being under the weather. So if my voice cracks, it's not because of the support that I don't feel that I'm receiving. I'm receiving a tremendous amount of support in the community. And I'd like to acknowledge through June my mother, who recently passed away. And despite the fact that you said there was a visitation and it might have been fiction, I don't think it was. Because when I was going through my mother's papers, she wrote a lot. And I think at the end of the day, I'm probably going to be tasked with writing a biography, the biography that she didn't write. She did say, in her own words, that her contribution, her proudest contribution, was her children. So I think that you are on the same wavelength. In fact, you might not remember this, but you met her on my second inauguration. And I think of her often, based on the challenges that we face, but noting that we are moving forward to a better place. So distinguished guests, community leaders, award recipients, and fellow advocates for social justice, good afternoon. As Ottawa's City Council Liaison for Anti-Racism and Ethnocultural Relations, it is my profound honor to address you at this milestone celebration, the 20th Annual DreamKEEPERS Award Ceremony for Racial Harmony and Human Rights. But before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that the peoples of the Algonquin-Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. The City of Ottawa honors the people and land of the Algonquin-Anishinaabe Nation, and the City of Ottawa honors all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I also want to acknowledge Daniel Stringer, who is not here, and Suzanne Weeks, who is here, whose visionary leadership has made this celebration possible for 2 decades. Your unwavering dedication to social justice has created a legacy that continues to inspire and transform our community, and I want to thank you for that personally, and I think that we should applaud them for their efforts. As we gather here today, we stand in the long shadow cast by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, a dream that remains both a beacon of hope and an urgent call to action. The impactful work of Dr. King remains a vital and relevant today as it was during his lifetime. This year, the United States commemorates the 30th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So that is today. And I can't think of anything more I want to celebrate. I think there's a high irony today, because MLK Day was the first federal holiday to honor a national figure who wasn't a president. It also is the only federal holiday established by the United States Congress as a national day of service, inspiring individuals across the United States to honor his legacy by volunteering and actively working to improve their communities. And when I think of what's going on today in the Congressional Rotunda, I think it is important for us to remember that MLK Day is always a day to reflect and act for the betterment of all people. This day is a profound reminder of the journey of diversity, equity, and inclusion Dr. King wanted to usher in a society rooted in dignity and equality. Today is a call to action. We must all work to build bridges, call out disrespect and discrimination, correct false narratives, commit to allyship, and advocate for all people. Since the 61 years when he gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, there has been some progress made in America and around the world, and even in our city, on social equity. But Dr. King's pursuit of equal rights and opportunities for all people continues to be mostly unrealized. But what we need to remember is that Dr. King's vision went far beyond the elimination of racial segregation. His vision of a beloved community was a practical blueprint for a society built upon the twin foundations of economic and racial justice. Dr. King's famous declaration, which I think we heard earlier today, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, wasn't just a slogan. It was a profound moral commitment that compelled him to speak out for all who faced oppression. He understood that true freedom could only be achieved through both social and economic justice, recognizing that the ability to sit at an integrated lunch counter meant little if people could not afford to eat there. Here in Ottawa, we see the contemporary echoes of these challenges. While we pride ourselves on being a diverse and inclusive city, we continue to grapple with disparities in housing, in employment, in education, and healthcare access. The impact of these inequalities fall disproportionately on our racialized communities, especially the Black communities, much as they did in Dr. King's time. But today we also celebrate progress. In terms of the city, this city, in 2022, we established an anti-racism strategy to proactively identify and remove systemic barriers in city policies, programs, and services. And not unlike what many people said today, that wasn't something that I achieved. That's something that the community as a whole achieved. This strategy proposes an action plan with several areas of focus in employment equity, economic development, and improving health and youth outcomes by way of 28 recommendations and 132 specific actions. What I'm most proud of is that these recommendations and specific actions were authored not by me, but by the over 1,000 people in our community that came together to have a discussion to really talk about what the focus of our city's anti-racism strategy should be. Through its anti-racism strategy, the city is working to develop and implement sustainable initiatives to support the ongoing long-term effort to eliminate systemic racism and promote racial equity in our community. We know that that's not going to happen overnight. You can't erase hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of history overnight. But achieving racial equity and prioritizing the anti-racism strategy continues to be critical for the city to develop and deliver programs and services that respond to the diverse needs of Ottawa residents and create a more equitable and inclusive workplace throughout the city. I'm also proud that in 2024, just a few months into the previous year, the city approved its first comprehensive poverty reduction strategy in a decade. Through extensive consultations with over 350 participants from more than 70 organizations, the city has developed a framework that will work to address the root causes of poverty through 5 essential pillars, including food security, employment, financial security, economic development, and integrated social service pathways. The strategy includes several concrete actions that will begin making a difference quickly. Increased funding for mentorship programs for Indigenous, Black, and racialized youth, improved coordination of food security initiatives, and enhanced coordination of tax clinics to help low-income residents access benefits. The creation and implementation of these policies has only been achieved through the hard work and contributions of individual community members. Community members are at the heartbeat of social change and the driving force behind meaningful progress towards racial and social equity. When individuals from all walks of life step forward to advocate for social justice, challenge discriminatory systems, and support their neighbors, they create ripples that transform into waves of positive change. From organizing grassroots initiatives and mentoring youth to participating in local government and fostering inclusive spaces, community members demonstrate that the path to equity is paved by countless small acts of courage and commitment. Their daily choices to stand up against discrimination, amplify marginalized voices, and bridge divides between different groups help weave a stronger social fabric that benefits everyone. Moreover, the power of community action lies in its ability to address inequality at its roots, where systemic change begins. When community members come together to share resources, knowledge, and support, they create sustainable solutions that reflect the real needs and experiences of those most affected by discrimination. Their firsthand understanding of local challenges enables them to develop targeted approaches that governmental policies alone cannot achieve. Through volunteer work, mutual aid networks, and collaborative problem solving, community members show that lasting change comes not just from top-down reforms, but from the ground up, from people who recognize that their individual actions, when united with others, can reshape society into one that truly honors the dignity and potential of all its members. It is therefore important to acknowledge and celebrate their contributions. That is why I want to commend each and every award recipient we are celebrating here today. Each of our award recipients represents a living embodiment of Dr. King's dream. Through their work, they demonstrate that positive change is possible when we combine vision with action, courage with compassion, and determination with hope. These dream keepers before us remind us that Dr. King's vision was not just about dreaming, it was about doing. He saw himself first and foremost as someone called to stand up for justice and truth. This required not just words, but direct action and an unwavering commitment to transforming systems of inequality. As we mark 2 decades of the DreamKeeper Awards, we must ask ourselves, what are we doing to build the beloved community that Dr. King envisioned? In our roles as community leaders, policymakers, and citizens, the most important role in a society, we must continue to push for meaningful change. This means supporting initiatives that create pathways to economic opportunity for marginalized communities, advocating for affordable housing and equitable urban development, working to eliminate systemic barriers in our institutions and workplaces, and building bridges between communities to foster understanding and cooperation. The power of Dr. King's words and methods continues to inspire movements for justice worldwide. His dream was never just about creating racial harmony, and I think we heard that said here before. It was about creating a society where everyone, and I mean everyone, has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Economic justice and social justice are 2 sides of the same coin. We cannot have one without the other. As Ottawa's Council Liaison for Anti-Racism and Ethnocultural Relations, I'm committed to advancing this holistic vision of justice. But this work belongs to all of us. Each person in this room has the power to be a dream keeper, to carry forward Dr. King's legacy in your own sphere of influence. To our award recipients, your work embodies the spirit of Dr. King's dream. You show us that while the arc of the moral universe may be long, it bends towards justice because people like you put their hands on that arc and pull it towards justice. To everyone here today, let us leave this celebration renewed in our commitment to economic and social justice. I know when I started to take in this program, I was almost immediately refreshed because really this is a celebration of Black excellence. And it's not just the people who have received the awards today. It's many of the faces that I see in this room today, that I know people really labor day after day, hour by hour to improve the community. And I want you to know that we appreciate that. So let us continue to work together to build a city and a world where Dr. King's beloved community becomes reality for all its people. As Dr. King reminded us, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Let us honor his legacy, not just through our words, but through our actions, our policies, and our unwavering commitment to justice. Thank you, and congratulations again to all of today's honorees.
Well, my lovely, beautiful wife, that brings DreamKEEPERS 28th Annual MLK Day Award ceremony to a conclusion. So what did you think of it all?
Wow. I mean, this was incredible. I feel so honored to be able to have used our church for such an important, amazing event. I was excited about everything, all the speakers, those that won the awards, the musical presentations that came here today, and especially all you wonderful people who have come today to honor Martin Luther King and all the great work that is done in Ottawa. I'm just so happy to be a part of this great event. And what about yourself, honey? Did you have something you wanted to say? Or did I say everything?
No, I mean, it is a great honor to see people being recognized for making a gargantuan, fantastic, dynamic, awesome, grandiloquent difference in the city of Ottawa. So we're proud of them. God bless you all.
When we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.